Hello, everybody, and a warm welcome to the Wine with Jimmy channel. I'm your host, Jimmy Smith. So, welcome to a series here for the WSET Level 3. This is on California. It's split into a multi-part series, and we're on part 2 here on the black grape varieties, the all-important production of California being the black varieties. Now, parts 1 through to 4 are available as free content, 5 through to 9, including the all-important short written questions and answers that I walk you through, will only be available on my e-learning portal over at winewithjimmy.com. So let's begin with the most prominent variety in California, which is Cabernet Sauvignon. So the most widely planted black grape variety in the state, and prime sites of this variety can produce extremely expressive wines that can in fact rival the best of anywhere in the world. You only have to cast your mind back to May the 24th, 1976, when we have the Judgment of Paris tasting, where the best of California was pitched against the best of Bordeaux, and California goes and wins, really cementing the importance of California, the US, but overall new world wines in the global wine appreciation. Many of the wines that are made from Cabernet Sauvignon are full-bodied, with very concentrated, ripe cassis flavors. You'll see cassis here, which is black currant liqueur, and prominent spice characteristics from new oak. Things like vanilla, probably coconut as well. I have got black currant there because it's a characteristic which you'll find, of course, in some Californian Cabernet Sauvignon. Certainly those that are made in a more restrained and fresher style with lower alcohols than the big, ripe, concentrated expressions. And there are a nice diversity of styles. It's not just a one-trick pony style, the Cabernet Sauvignon from California. Next up would be Zinfandel, regarded as California's kind of indigenous variety, though it is not from California originally. It actually originally comes from Croatia via Puglia as Primitivo. This variety is kind of California's signature, distinctly different. It's made in a range of styles. It has a tendency to ripen unevenly, bunch by bunch, berry by berry, which creates a challenge to the grape grower. So the issue there is that if you do a kind of blanket harvest, you're going to have both overripe and underripe fruit that goes into the mix. The overripe fruit leads to raisining, of course, and this can lead to concentrated, full-bodied red wines. The greater levels of sugar lead to greater levels of alcohol, and sometimes it's so intense with sugar that you'll find residual sugar left in the wine. So sometimes they can be a little bit off dry in style. Flavors typically are a mixture of red and black fruits, dried fruits. We've got raisins in that picture, sometimes prune, fig as well, and things like licorice can be found too. Some which are picked on the slightly earlier side with more of a tendency to underripe berries can be more herbaceous, often a lot of mint, often things like tobacco, tea leaf, things like mint itself, sage, basil, those kind of notes can be quite prominent in those expressions. Also, there's a completely different style made from the same grape. There are large volumes of white Zinfandel, which is normally produced from very early picked grapes. These wines are commonly referred to as white Zinfandel, and you'll see the label there on the screen. They are typically paler in color because they, of course, are pink. They are fruity, medium sweet with lower alcohols. You'll see this one is, in fact, 8.5. Normally, a Zinfandel as a red wine will be somewhere around 13 to 15% alcohol. So knowing that this has been bottled at only about 8.5%, probably from underripe berries, the potential alcohol might have been somewhere around 12% if it was fully fermented. So that means you've got around 3 to 4% unfermented grape must, which gives you about sort of, 20, 30, 40, 50 grams per litre of sugar, making it medium sweet in style. Okay, that's a large production. Next variety is Merlot. It is widely planted, though less favorable than Cabernet Sauvignon and less stylish, certainly not as promised and lauded as Cabernet Sauvignon in the press. It generally makes wines that are more approachable with softer tannins and ripe black fruit, blackberry, for example. The San Joaquin Valley in Central Valley has the largest plantings, generally there, making simpler, inexpensive wines quite similar in their cost to a Bordeaux General Red, but often with a bit more riper fruit flavor. The better quality Merlots from some of the cooler sites like Monterey and the North Coast regions, especially places like Napa, so some altitude in Napa, and Sonoma, which is generally cooler. They are deeply colored wines that have this kind of soft, luscious, full body with a high alcohol and classic varietal notes of plum and blackberry that you see in the picture just there. Pinot Noir, of course, is grown. And the premium Pinot Noir will come from the moderate areas, the more tempered areas of California, which will tend to be affected by the ocean current the greatest. So places like Russian River Valley, affected by the Petaluma Gap, things like Los Coneros, which experiences the cooling effect of the San Pablo Bay, and also places like Santa Maria Valley as well. These styles will range quite widely according to the vineyard site microclimate, but also the winemaking practices, the philosophy of and ethos of the winemaking. Some are light in color with kind of gamey vegetal notes, but to be honest, most of them are on the richer side, where you'll find ripe red fruits, cherries, and strawberries, and then notes of sweet spice, typically from the likes of oak maturation, things like vanilla that you see there in the picture. And finally, we find some Syrah. Now, this is going to be the last grape we discuss. There are other varieties found out in California, but of course, we are just covering the major styles in terms of the level 3 syllabus. So Syrah, there's not much discussed in your syllabus about this. There are plantings of Syrah across the estate. So you'll find some in places like Sonoma. You'll find some in Napa. There's quite an exciting amount down in the Central Coast area, certainly Paso Robles, for example. Typically making full-bodied rich styles. Licorice, pepper is common here. The wines are somewhere towards kind of Australian, but with a little bit more restraint than some. Okay, so that's the major black grape varieties completed for California. Please do join me for a slightly shorter video next, which is looking at the white grape varieties. So talking really here about Chardonnay and the likes of Sauvignon Blanc. Once again, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please do get in touch, and you can do so by commenting on this video below. Click like and subscribe whilst you are there. And if you do find yourself in London in the United Kingdom and you are traveling Blighty's rolling green hills and you're bracing the grey skies and the drizzle of this fair landscape, then come down to the Big Smoke, London City, and see me for a glass, or a bottle. I've been Jimmy Smith. Ciao for now. Bye-bye.